Nole Nation. Welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. Today I've got my co-host with me, Deshawn, aka at Deshawn Adams 18. You can find him on X. You can find right here on YouTube, and I'll let him plug that here in a minute. Our other co-host, the original, our girl that's been here with me since November, Jen Santee, aka Jen Santee 1890, is running a little bit behind today. She had some personal stuff come up. So she should be here probably just a little late today, but if you don't see her, that's why. So we hope that she travels safe and everything gets taken care of in this kind of painful time for Jen. So that's that. How are we doing today, Deshawn? Let the people know what your YouTube channel is real quick before we get into
Okay.
recruiting freaking dynamite going on.
All right. I'm doing good to answer your question, but Double D's Let's Talk Ball podcast. There's Double D's Let's Talk Ball podcast, and also be on the lookout for Double D's Let's Game. And then also my partner, he has this other show that's a part of ours that splinters off, and that's D's Corner, DSCORNER, D's Corner. Thank y'all.
Boom. And that's all right here on YouTube. The Renegade Rundown. Tonight, as always, every Friday. We're also every Sunday and every Tuesday with the Renegade Rundown. 4 shows a week with the Renegade Roast on Monday with Tiny Hat CEO and Jen Santee. But as you all know, Florida State, bam, lands another blue chip defensive line recruit. And by the way of Myron Charles today, to go with Kevin Wynn, to go with CJ Wiley, to go with Tramel Jones, to go with Javian Hilson, to go with Solomon Thomas, to go with Ethan Pritchard. I think I named all 7 of them. Florida State Seminoles are now 7 for 7. They've got 7 commits in the 2025 recruiting class, all blue chips. That puts them at like 94.01 in the blue chip composite, I believe. Might not even be the composite. It might be the actual 247 rating, but it's number 1 in the entire nation as far as average goes. It's way up there. I had somebody comment on one of my posts saying, "Oh yeah, well, Miami's got like 8 or 9 blue chips as well." It's like, yeah, they do, and 5 3-stars. So we can get into blue chip ratios and all that stuff, but it gets hard to be better than 100%. And we just wanted to kill a little bit of time, let the room get in here before we show some tape. We're going to pull some tape up out of Charles and talk about, the big time edition and what it means for Florida State. But another thing, I talked about this Wednesday on the Voice of College Football with Mark Rogers. Bud Elliott's blue chip ratio has come out this year. It comes out every year. I've always been a big believer in it, especially when it was, high school only, when we didn't have the transfer portal, when we didn't have the multi-time rule, when we didn't have NIL, we didn't have all these things. You literally couldn't transfer before you even got to class. Used to be if you wanted to transfer, you had to wait till you were a darn senior, or unless you could graduate after your junior year. If not, you'd have to sit out a year. It was just a totally different world. If you got somebody, it was from JUCO or D3 somehow that got a waiver or something like that. You weren't going right across town. Now you can. It's a different world. So when you look at Florida State's blue chip ratio, the fact they're not in the quote unquote group of blue chip ratio guys, well, it's not true. Really and truly, when you look at Florida State's roster, they are close to 65%. They're actually closer to 65% than they are 50% when it comes to blue chip ratio. I think it's right there around 63%. That's if you actually look at what is on the roster, who are 4-stars coming out of high school or the transfer portal. What happens is, especially like this 2022 class, across the board, across the country, pretty much everybody lost a bunch from that class. Very rare teams that really, struck gold there. Michigan did pretty good, a couple others. But like Miami, they signed 10 blue chips out of that 2022 class. Well, 8 of them left.
Yeah.
Yet in their blue chip ratio, they still get credit for them. So it's like, that's kind of my whole beef with it. It's not a real accurate representation. Now, Florida State will be over 50, 60, 70% here in a couple years once everything gets caught up. So it'll be a kind of moot point. But it's just something that people really like to bring up. They really like to hammer, the overall rankings. Oh, well, you finished 11th or you finished 12th last year. But look, guys, this is just Florida State strategy. It's what Mike Norvell is going to do. He's going to go small numbers with quality, and that quality is going to get better and better and better. The numbers have been similar of high school recruits he's brought in every year, but they have got better and better and better to where you're 7 of 7 now. You look last year, and Miami has a top 5 class. That's cool and all. You got a top 5 class, but you signed 20-something 3-stars. When you add the portal with high school and everything together, you had like a 30-something% blue chip ratio. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, well, Florida State brought in 27, 28 blue chips if you want to count the walk-ons
Mhm.
versus a handful of 3 stars. So which one is the better class? Whatever. You can pretty much, if you go look at that thing and you look at 6 through 12
Mhm.
on the 247 composite rankings,
Mhm.
you can literally flip them, in my opinion, when you look at it. Anyways, a little bit long-winded there, but how are you feeling about the 7 for 7 and just coming out absolutely on fire, especially Odell Haggins in the first kind of week of Florida State's kind of recruiting month of the year?
Well, I'll start by saying I did put something on Twitter where Odell is getting his swagger back and he's getting comfortable and basically put his comfortable shoes on and got to work. But these 7 recruits is just the beginning, man. I tell everyone to get ready, get your popcorn ready for the week. Have a good fourth because it's going to be a good week for us. I like the 7. I know we're about to add more. The trenches, that's what I'm excited for. The trenches are being addressed on both sides of the ball, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I know Deshawn has only been with us here for about a month or so now. But for those of you that have been here since the beginning, you've been with us since I very first started over on Substack and everything else. We've been telling you since literally, I think before the 24 class even signed, it might have been like over a year and a half now that look, this class, the class of 2020-25, is
Hmm.
going to be about trench warfare. Everybody was really worried about the level of offensive line recruiting in 23 and 24. And it was tough, especially losing kind of the couple guys that we tried to keep in Keldrick Falk and some different other people. But you just looked ahead and you just saw the talent out there and you knew this was going to be it.
Hmm.
And how many sources out of the staff have to tell you about, exactly how they're kind of doing this thing, what Derek Ray, what Mike Norvell are looking at, how they want to use their resources and things like that. It was just painfully obvious. We've been letting everybody know. And certain trolls have really been just talking shit day by day. Oh, I don't see it anytime anybody gets anybody. So it really is a beautiful thing to look
Hmm.
over and see a guy who's considered, #1 weak side defensive end, #3 overall, #1 interior offensive lineman. Now
Hmm.
you got a guy who's #4 on 3 and defensive lineman. I think Kevin
Hmm.
Wynn is somewhere in that same ballpark on one
Hmm.
of the others. But both average in there to your top 100 type football players.
Hmm.
It's really a beautiful thing. Jalen Wiggins still on the board. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. But we've
Hmm.
waited long enough. If you want to, I'll pull that up and we can throw
Hold on. Let's see.
Myron Charles'
There
stuff
we
up
go.
there
All right.
and uh, and look at some Myron Charles. This is our big commit that we got today. It's one that I think myself and Deshawn felt really good about. We both put in our crystal ball prediction for on, was it
Hmm.
Tuesday's show or Sunday's
Yes.
show? One of
Yes,
those
it's Tuesday.
shows.
Tuesday, I believe. Yes.
What are your first thoughts looking at it, my man? How hyped are
Uh,
you for Myron?
I'm hyped because I this was one that I would be honest that I personally wanted him once we confirmed that we got a commitment from Win. I just look at him. He is a solid one technique. That means he's going to fill the gaps, the A gaps. He's a run stuffer. And you combine that with what we saw. If you see Win's film, he can do the same, but he has a lot more. He's a lot more of a quick twitch kind of defensive tackle that can get and create pass rushing. And you combine that, it's just I'm excited, man. I'm excited for both. You get a legitimate 6'5", 295, and then Win adds in 6'2", 320.
Mm-hmm.
At a key positions of need in the interior. They'll be able to step in next year as freshmen and probably they're definitely going to raise the floor. Man, I'm just ecstatic. You just see the versatility. One is strong at the point of attack. The bull rush, you just saw that. That's just instant power. Both of those players, man, I'm really, really hyped about this. December can't get here soon enough, bro.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I got to do a little work. I think we may have a special guest here coming on. But yeah, when it comes down to these two guys, we talked a lot about how they kind of like they bring guys that can work together. You talked
Mm-hmm.
about the height and weight differences there. Seems like maybe more of a zero technique
Mm-hmm.
could play the tackle and win. And now this guy and Myron Charles could be the guy to play next to him. Are these like
Three.
two guys like a Fisk
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a Daryl Jackson could have possibly
Mm-hmm.
been this year? Do you see
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I see that kind of likeness where you had Fisk, who was much more of your disruptor in the passing game. He could still stop the run, but he was a big disruptor there. And then you had Farmer, who ate up a lot of the blocks. Now you may see that role change this year, where Farmer's more of the disruptor, where he was much more of eating up blocks last year, because we have Jackson, who probably be more of the the space eater in the middle. And that's what I like about Charles. He's a big space eater, but he has a quick twitch. He can still move, man. It's just excellent. I am very, very excited about this room.
So excited. I don't want to give it away in case it doesn't work out on the special guest, but sorry if I'm a little messed up here for a second. But I agree 100%, man. That's why I had to bring it up. I knew you felt the same way. I think we might have talked about it actually yesterday. I think there he is right now. So bam, I can announce it. We got our man, the man of the hour, big game James Coleman. Give it to the damn fullback. MFTK, Den Media Group, all the above. He was going to be a topic of conversation when we get into some of these different recruits down the line and what he's got going on this weekend with a pretty cool show and stuff. But we're looking at the Myron Charles film, kind of starting out here, James.
Myron Charles is just another reason why, I'm not, again, I say enjoy all media. Like, it's for entertainment. Even the people who are experts don't know what the fuck they're talking about sometimes. So, like, this is a perfect example. It feels like it was just yesterday that somebody crystal balled them to the University of Texas. And then you find out, boom, it's right here. And again, that's not to discredit that guy's sources or what he believes or what he did, the different things of that nature. But obviously, Odell is cooking. And it just makes me feel better about, the things that I hear and that I talk to. And when it comes to what we have, I mean, he was definitely on my fantasy recruiting class chart the other day. And it's just what I hear about it. I love violence and disruptors and guys who can play sideline to sideline. And in today's game, that's what you want from your defender.
It's funny. You came on here, you popped up in the chat and was like, what are y'all lying about here today? And I think at the point in time you jumped up, we were lying about how Myron Charles was a lock, despite what the experts were saying out there. But, man, it happened with CJ Wiley. Here it happens again. Look, I even said, like, I'm a little nervous. It's like everybody I talk to, all my people that I count on, my Chris, my James, everybody I talk we feel good on Myron Charles, but I haven't, usually you hear about conversations and trips and stuff like that, but he's just been all about business. So really cool to see him come through. And for Odell, especially, I guess, like, how big is this for just his career and getting kind of some of the naysayers off his back? I know in the building he's good, but I mean, crazy how long he's been there. Like, this is huge.
I think what a lot of times is every time FSU fans decide to bitch about a coach, that coach comes through in a way that it's just they overdo it. And I think, I think we're a spoiled fan base. So I try to use my words carefully. And part of the reason why I say that is because, we didn't enjoy. I thoroughly enjoyed last season. Like I enjoyed it, did well. Like, but every week in an undefeated season, oh my God, we're not going to be. When we play somebody, so and so they're gonna take advantage of that. Oh, we're not going to be able to get away with that if we keep doing this, but you do, and you're looking for a reason to pinch yourself and not believe that this is good. But well, hold on, what's wrong, Kyle? Pull it hard. You got it.
Future legends, man. We gotta let them talk to Pops. What's going on? Are we losing a tooth?
No, he already lost his tooth. He's trying to wash his hand. He's washing his hands, which is good. A lot of people don't wash, so I'm doing one thing right. I taught him how to wipe his ass. So I've told him 70%. Yeah. I've taught him 70% of being a man.
I wipe my own ass.
Wiping your ass. I wipe my own
ass.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, that scene. I mean, Big Daddy, like it chokes me up. Like, as a guy who was a father early, like when like a white man, he was just like, "I know, son." It's just like, I mean, you don't know how tough it is to come out here and, like, you don't know how unselfish you don't know how selfish you are in life until you have to wipe somebody else's ass. And then you're
That's
just
true.
like, I don't want to do. But then it's like it's part of the process of being unselfish. Then you realize, then you go back and you're like, damn, I don't have to wipe nobody else's ass, and it feels free. But then all of a sudden, those people whose asses that you wipe are out, and then you never know. They might have to
Yeah,
wipe your ass one day. So treat them
that's
right.
true. That's true.
But going back to the
We have a
recruiting,
little life knowledge for
it,
everybody, man. We keep
it,
it
That's
open. We
true.
talk about whatever.
it's just I think people want to be one. Actually, Big Three Twitter. I think Florida State fans, we have to rise above what it is that we've done as we were all down, having a great time in life. We're not down like the others. So like, there's no need for us to try to cope. I mean, fine. Miami fans are happy about their guys that they're getting and their 89 recruiting overall ranking. We should be happy about our 90, our 94, 95. We should be happy about winning. We should be happy about this. We have more fireworks coming. We'll probably get on board with our first 3-star, but that kid is good for us and for our system. I'm not telling you to go knock other people's recruits, but what I am telling you is to stop worrying about the fireworks the perceived movement that others have, and worry about true movement. And what you're seeing now with Florida State, they've got 7 cats right now. Probably before you blink and open your eyes, I think by the time next week comes, we'll have 12 to 13 cats, and you'll see us pushing toward the top 15 class as we press toward our goal of probably 25 guys in this class. And that's not including guys that will probably flip, and we'll have to continue to battle toward the end. We'll continue to recruit some top guys, and I just think I really wish we would. I can't tell you how to be as a grown man, but I really wish for our fans that we would just take a little bit of time to smell the roses as we're going through all of these things, and not be worried about going back and forth. And I hate to say this, as a guy who, I will admit, my guilty pleasure is Twitter Spaces. I don't like talk. I'll talk if somebody asks me to talk. I really love listening to Twitter Spaces to hear what people are thinking, and it's absolutely the greatest entertainment in the world for me. But I think some of us could probably use a little bit more positivity in our lives, and that's what you should be doing. But I mean, we're on track. We're doing everything the way that Mike has done it intentionally the last few years. So like, when people are like, we're not doing anything in recruiting, that's Mike heats up into June through July, closer to the season. And I ask this: would you rather have had Ole Miss and USC success early and go through what they're dealing with right now? I can only imagine if we had a full class and we lost 5 commitments, which I think both of them have lost or are on track to lose 5 commitments. We would be getting trolled. Most of y'all would not be able to handle this. We would be it'd be a lot of BS going on. So the only time I like BS is when it's a big game in front of it. It's typically Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays when I'm not pouting over my contract not being right. So like I said, I'll admit I haven't been as consistent because I'm a little upset. Not at anybody, not at the fan base, but I'm just upset on some business shit that needs to get taken care of, which is stupid because even if it doesn't get taken care of, it fucks up my current sponsors. So I need to get on top of my shit. But that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is guys, enjoy the ride, enjoy being on top, enjoy 10 wins being your floor for the next few years.
Right,
Exactly.
100%. I couldn't agree. As Deshawn, we were saying at the same time, more with all that stuff. We were just kind of talking about how it's like people just want to see number 5 in high school recruiting. It's like, well, hold on. How many guys left out of the portal? How many did you bring in? All these things. When you really take a step back and look at what Norvell and Ray has done, and it has been a steady climb, it has got better and better. And you can see it. Like you said, you see exactly what happened last year. Last year, I sweated it a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, shit, it's getting later and later. But it's like, it's right here. And now here we are, 7 for 7. It's a little bit early. Really, Wiley and Charles, I don't think anybody was expecting them quite this soon. So super fired up. I agree with you. I think it'll be 12, 15 guys by July 4th, July 5th. You mentioned possibly getting a 3-star soon. I'm thinking maybe you were talking Hollis Davidson.
Yeah.
I know you had the Jalen Wiggins prediction on that Tuesday show, I believe, that you popped up in the chat. So we could definitely jump into those two. And I know my guy Deshawn probably has some questions, and I know he's got some tape lined up, I think, for at least one or two of those guys too.
Well,
Yeah,
one
I do.
I'll tell you this much. Again, I was more not heavily. So there's 3 things in this world that'll get you paid on the internet. Having an internet magazine or a Discord, and shout out to Fifth Quarter. Probably once a lot of this other stuff gets sewn up, you'll see me, Chris, and a couple other guys will probably be discussing, how to, maybe do some more collaborative media and making some changes. Again, not telling anybody not to listen to other stuff. Do what you feel is best. I believe you should. It's not for under $50 to $60 a month. You can actually engage in all the media and all the FSU media that you could potentially want. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Fifth Quarter shit, you get all of the sites in one because somebody's gonna screenshot it and put it in there. But dealing with young men and seeing what the quote unquote national or the reputables say, it let me know that most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So again, and it's just talking with them. I remember, I think George, you were there. The guy I respect, told me that the kid that I know very well was silently committed to Ohio State, and I'm like, I can promise you unequivocally. I said, I was like, you don't know, and a lot of it comes down to, the recruiters, not recruiters, these sites, they talk to the young men, and that's fine. Mommies and daddies still make these decisions, or some mentor, and like I joke, I said, I know Mama Maggie. I said, Mama Maggie ain't fucking with Ohio State right now. So that ain't happening. Then also talking with another kid, Drake, you'll hear, one school say that they like him, but I know I am the guy who gets to talk about numbers for some of these guys. So when I heard the number for one of those, I was just like, well, shit, you got to go, son.
Yeah,
that's where you got to go. That's true. So, I mean, just, looking at these things, man, and that's just my small sample size with 3 of the top recruits in the nation. I can only imagine what it's like when you blow that up. So I fast forward to your Jalen Wiggins, and so we'll just use this this narrative. And again, however people earn their living, I know these guys work hard. I'm not knocking these guys for that. But if Jalen Wiggins has been on campus 20 times or whatever, Jalen Wiggins is committed to the University of Florida. We're not writing articles about Jalen Wiggins. We're writing articles about a guy who only went to campus 3 or 4 times. But we feel like Jalen Wiggins is home. I think with Florida State being very, very good, being able to offer money, because I think we're not broke when it comes down to these things. That's why I feel confident in the flip. If he doesn't, then God bless the best situation for him. But I do believe he can potentially be in Florida State's class. To go back to Hollis, I don't really care about his star rating. I'm going to go check out his film today, but from what I have seen,
and that's what we got here, by the way, is Hollis's film, I believe.
Okay. So this is even better. What you're seeing is, let me look at this right here. So okay, we got that. Nice break on the route, finds the space. Oh, no, he's blocking. So let me see. I want to see him catch. Okay. Able to catch.
Nice.
Like that was a tough catch right there. Let's see here.
He looks every bit of that legit 6'5" too.
Oh, corner route. Love the corner route.
Yeah.
He's got the hand-eye coordination that you don't from a tight end, as from my perspective, looks elite.
Okay, he's a willing blocker. Nice. Is this him that just went in motion? Nope, this him right here.
Oh, blocking again.
I like that. He's got the size. He's active. He's man. That's two for one right there.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much really that I've heard about him being at camps, being on different top teams boards. I'm really surprised he is a 3-star. Is it a ceiling thing? I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe he has a big senior season. He's one that I feel like, look at that play. I
Let
don't.
me ask you
What
this.
level of competition is he at? I
Every
don't know.
time I've ever asked, what he's playing big time Georgia ball, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
What is a 5-star? Here's my thing with, and if I ever did a rating, I need to know, what are the attributes that make a 5-star quarterback outside of film? Because obviously they don't give a shit about film too, and I understand that, because film means something, but it also I don't want to say film can lie to you, but it's about the scheme, and styles make matchups, styles make fights. But let's just say, what are 30? I like 36 for whatever reason. What are 36 things that would make make a perfect quarterback prospect, right? And in order for you to be a 5-star, you've got to hit 30 of those. And then now, what makes you a 4-star? That means you've hit 25 of those.
Okay.
And now, what makes you a 3-star? A 3-star hits 20 of those, or you have a scholarship or some. And if you have a scholarship, more than likely you hit 20 of those attributes. Now, I can actually go, if that's what you're telling me, I can actually go, and now I can hold accountable everybody who's on my list, and you can go see those things. Now, but with that being said, if it's got to be 32 or 30 of 36, there may be years where we have more 5-stars, but there may be some years where we don't have but 3 or 4 5-stars. You know what that gives you? That gives you a more accurate and a more reliable thing, but that's not going to generate money or data. And the problem is when you don't have these things, you have some guys who don't see this kid go to a OT7, who don't see this guy go to the rival showcase, who don't see this guy spend his money to be able to go get seen by guys who are getting paid to write articles and have opinions, who have never, ever been asked to, nor could they do what this person has been, what this person is capable of doing. And so, again, that's not a knock. It's just more of that's why I don't trust the rating system as much as others do. But Hollis I don't care. Hollis could be a 4-star. Hollis could be a fucking 5-star. What I know is Hollis was blocking, Hollis was catching, and Hollis got size. And if you bring him, and if you're lucky enough to get the guy from Nebraska, then I think that's true. I think that's Coach Thompson going in. And I just talked in the spaces. The reason why I believe he decommitted from Auburn is real recognizes real, and Thompson's a real ass pilgrim. A rap. It's real and it's deeper than rap. Real ass.
Speaking of one of those coaches that turned it around, I've got, every time you come on here, we end up talking ball. I'm like on the edge of my seat, like not wanting to let you finish. I got so many questions, and you hit on another thing there, but I keep cutting Deshawn off. And go ahead, I know you got something.
But when I knew I liked Thompson is when Thompson came here, and back in 2020 when they did that high school coaches tour, and he got me, and me and him partake in a 12-piece lemon pepper wet hot. That let me know he was a real ass pilgrim. I like that dude.
I would just say this: it seems as if FSU, the staff, is taking an approach like Clemson with the numbers game, but except they're attacking the portal, whereas Clemson is not doing the same thing. So you're getting to balance everything, and it is the new way of recruiting. I'm one of them that when I talk about recruiting, I don't mention all the stars and the numbers because I'm a little older, and I look at it as, man, film and fit, and film can lie, but it's always about that scheme and how that player fits that particular scheme. And a lot of people lose sight of that.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. It's, one, at the end of the day, I always say it like this. I don't even see obviously there's some kids that you can tell are better, but like, can the kid play? Can the kid ball? Like, that's just what I need to know. Is he college ready?
Yeah.
And that's what you can tell. And right now, I can see with that kid's a baller. And I like what you said too, Deshawn, when it comes down to overall rankings. I'm not ranking, excuse me. The recruiting board. And a lot of people if I miss, like, let's say Odell missed on Charles. There ain't but so many D tackles that you can bring in that are going to make an immediate impact day one. And next year, the situation you're going to have is you're going to have Grady Kelly, you're going to have Sampson, you're going to have
Daniel Lyons.
Daniel Lyons. So those should be your guys that should be competing to be your potential next up starters. You got Denaz White, who's going to redshirt. Excuse me, Dede Holmes, who's going to redshirt. And now you bring these two guys in, and even if you missed on one, you're still going to have to go to the portal and go find you a D tackle or two that's going to be able to come in and be able to provide at minimum adequate. Well, actually, really, when people look at as a backups, we're not looking for backups. We're looking for 20. There's 25 guys who I would argue in Coach Fuller's defense, there's 25 starters, or 22 starters. Excuse me, 22 starters and 3 guys that are rotational. What do you mean by that, James? They're damn near going series for series, or rotation for rotation. Coach Norvell brought up the numbers. You'd be surprised at the amount of production that's coming back defensively after we lost a lot of guys. So, like, you go in the portal, you find some guys that you believe going to be in the 2 deep, and then you flourish.
Facts on top of facts. You hit something particular there that really kind of stood out to me. You talked about how is it the number of 5 stars are the same every year? And so when you look at, and my viewers are probably tired of hearing me break this down, but I really get into the philosophy, like you were just talking about. It's kind of less people like Clemson, but you turn the roster and you take guys out of the portal with it. It's a deadly combination. But they find, you have hidden yards people talk about in special games, special teams and things within the game that nobody talks about. But man, that 150 yards could be the game changer. I feel like they find that in recruiting. So, okay, it says there's 35 stars again this year, but really and truly, this staff knows it's 50. So that's why you have such a big offensive line and defensive line class. You're able to go get a Charles and a Wiggins because they're good enough. If there's somebody out there that isn't as good as Wiggins, they're just not going to grab him. They're not going to grab a body to just be on the roster. They're going to get the kind of what's available and put the resources for it there. And I just think at its peak, once they maximize it, and it's getting close this year, you're seeing at least from the beginning of this class, it's going to be enough to get them up there to compete with anybody at the very top of the sport. I truly believe that.
Here's when I started questioning everything. There's a young man, and I got the video to prove it. So, I mean, I'm damn good at training athletes. I just don't do the shit anymore. And I train a young man that some of y'all may or may not have heard of from out of Jacksonville, out of Yulee, Florida, by the name of Derrick Henry. Derrick was a 4-star. I've trained 5 stars before. I have never trained anybody like Derrick Henry in my life. Like, Derrick Henry if you told me that Derrick Henry was an alien, it would make so much more sense. Like, I would now understand why he was able to do the things, or why he's been able to do the things. But when I talk to people and I ask them, and their rationale, or even we'll fast forward to the future with Cam Davis. Like, why is Cam Davis not a 5-star? The rationale was that they devalue the running back position. So, is your system based upon people that you believe are great, or are you trying to be the NFL? Because I got news for you. It's 2 different fucking games. As a guy who covers the NFL for a living, NFL is entertainment. College football is college football. And I just think that people, I think those services, while they serve a purpose to get us to talk, maybe bring light onto other kids that you didn't know about, I think people get caught up in it a little bit too much.
I think it's a tool. I think that the top 200 guys, the top 300 guys, I think it's just so obvious that those are D1 level guys. I think it's a tool in that, any dummy can see that kid's good, but I totally agree. Like, when I found out how they did Landon Thomas and how they decided to drop him because he decided not to go to a camp after he was done with everything and there was no damn reason for him to, and they stress player health, and you're supposed to, don't make him play an extra game and all these things about opting out and stuff, but you want to do to go risk life and limb when he's already got his dream school set up, he's committed, letter of intent, all that stuff. So yeah, I totally agree there. And I'm going to shut up for a little bit and let Deshawn go. I'm sorry.
Tramel Jones is a 3-star and 2 4-star.
Yeah.
Tramel Jones, so if they move him, if they move him up, which he should, the rationale is going to be for this. He competed in OT7 and he won. Competed in Elite 11. I believe he finished top 5. There's various things that say, but I think he said he finished 3 or 4. He's competed in the Rivals Challenge. He's competed in a myriad of other different things. That's going to be the reason why he rises. Now, they've already done an adjustment earlier this year. So you mean to tell me Trammell being the class 7M, class 4M, the highest classification in the state of Florida, player of the year in football games, that didn't matter. That shouldn't up him. The fact that Trammell was one of the top leaders in the state of Florida in passing yards, that shouldn't have bumped him up to a 4-star. You're telling me the fact that he went to the state championship game, that wasn't like none of those things of actual football are what increased him to a 4-star. But going to camps in shorts, in t-shirts, and sweating in front of grown-ass men while he's gyrating and doing all these other different things, that's what's going to bump him up. I don't think people understand how weird recruiting, how weird this sounds with all of these different things. But again, one site says he's a 5-star. One site's just like, oh God, we don't know what's going on. It's just, it's a weird thing.
Well, I trust this staff. I trust James. I trust Deshawn. I trust Jen as she's finally made it in here. Thank you so much for making it. And she had a personal thing to attend to. So we appreciate her for always making it in. Where were we at? What was I going to say? Jalen Wiggins. Let's get an opinion. I want to start with Deshawn if he has any questions about Jalen Wiggins for James. That's kind of who he's pegged as possibly our next commitment. You came and made your prediction, but go ahead, Deshawn. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick question on your opinion on him. Do you see him sliding inside or staying outside on the at the edge position?
I think he's a hybrid guy. In our defense, we traditionally we're 4-2-5 or 4 down. Front, but when we have the stand up in, we do shift. We do tend to put guys in 4 eyes, or 5 technique, which you're going to have to be about 275 pounds, or so. His hands are violent enough. He's explosive enough because really once you bump interior, it's not as much space to use your athleticism as it is at defensive end. You've got to basically be able to shoot your hands and create havoc. But I don't see him as a damn sure ain't doing like what Jackson's doing. But then again, people don't remember. Josh Farmer was petite compared to what he is right now.
Yeah,
Josh been eating, man. And I've known Josh. I've known Josh since before he went to Florida State. He trains with a good friend of mine, Mark Lyles, and I think you never know with these guys once they get to eating 3 square meals and 2 snacks. I tell people all the time I went from 215 to 245 really fast. Going from eating twice a day maybe to eating 5 to 6 meals a day. So and working out in the real weight room. So there's no knock on what they do at Rickards, but it's just tough for Southside boys to get adequate nutrition.
I got you. That's cool, man.
Well, Jen, before we move on to the next guy, I think we'll probably get on to a guy that's going to be committing Sunday next. But what do you got going on? What have you seen the past couple days? What's caught your eye in the recruiting world as we welcome you to the show?
Well, I'm glad we got Myron Charles today. How about that? Very excited about that one. Texas fans are very mad about this. I didn't know this was going to be such a... I mean, I reposted. So let me tell you, I reposted Hayes Fawcett's, his
crystal ball. Yeah.
No, like the commitment, edit or whatever.
Oh, the edit. Okay.
I had 5 messages from Texas fans so angry.
Poor guys.
I'm like, aren't y'all doing really well in recruiting? Like, why is this so? You can't be that mad over a recruit to just, message somebody you don't know whining about it. This is wild to me. That's new. You're used to that from not even really. Like, even if you repost something from Hayes Fawcett that's like a Miami fan, like a kid that, that you're going against Miami. I don't get messages from Miami fans about a repost of a commit.
That is hilarious. That is sad.
I had 5. So I guess Texas fans, I haven't checked their message boards. Maybe I should go check that 24/7 message board and see what they were saying. Cause maybe they were like, maybe their 24/7 guys were telling them, or 247, however you want to say it. We're telling them, that you're going to get them. Maybe that's why they were mad. Like, I don't know. I haven't checked. I've been kind of running around today, so I didn't get to really delve into that until I just, said that on the phone. But that was weird to me. I was 5 messages from Texas fans very angry about a retweet on a commitment. That's weird.
That is freaking hilarious. It knows no bounds of these fans scoring. We were kind of talking about, and it brings me to a good idea. Before we get to Sunday's commitment, this first topic kind of pertains to it. I've talked a lot about how USC is crazy. They keep losing all these Southeastern guys, and they keep just doubling down and tripling down. So Wednesday, we found out one of the DBs, pretty limited DB board for FSU this year, 5 or 6 guys on there. I don't want to put words in my mouth. I'm thinking 2 to 3 guys is what they'll sign. I think that's pretty popular. Not going to be a big DB class after the big one we had last year, and probably a big one coming in 26. A lot of smaller guys around, not a ton of guys. So with Arnaud off the board, going to USC, that opens the board up a little bit. All of a sudden, this commitment on Sunday is very important from Zay Thomas, but also another one of these USC guys to leave, Hilton Stubbs, somebody that James has a little bit of a inside track on. So I was just like, not to like celebrate, one of your guys decommitting from USC. It's just that I happened to go on the kind of rant and put the tweet out saying, like, why do they keep doing this? Jason Zandamela. I lost my mic, but go ahead. It's just like 10 guys in a row that keep flipping, and they keep doing it. So they got Arnaud. We'll see how long this will last.
Yeah.
I think, obviously you have to. They're adopting a nationwide recruiting strategy, which is difficult for anybody, no matter where your school is at. So if you go look at these schools, they may have some guys who are from different places, but for the most part, you could chop up anywhere between 50 to 60% of their roster, if not more, are from that home state. And, USC is the premier California program, or West Coast program. So the fact that they're having to come over here is really Lincoln Riley trying to recruit, again, a rating system as much as a fit system, in particular where they're going to in the Big Ten. Now, with when it comes to Drake Stubbs, Drake is a kid that likes nice things, and he likes the LA lifestyle. Intrigued him, but the problem is that you could go get the LA lifestyle about 5 hours from Jacksonville, in Miami, Florida, or he likes the University of Florida, and I think George. You might have answered a lot of people's questions of why he's not in particularly looking at Florida State, because our board is not particularly heavy, and he's a safety, and he's a hard hitting safety at that, where we're deep, where we're particularly deep at. Now, what he was looking at are places that he can go thrive, potentially further his fiscal opportunities, and play early. And USC and 2 of the other schools that I won't mention on this show unless you want me to, are schools where he could see all of those different things happening for him. Whereas at Florida State, he would play, but I don't necessarily think he'd come in and start or be that heavy of a contributor day one. So, God bless. I think it was the best decision for him, because I told people the day he committed, I didn't see that sticking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I spoke to. Is like where I'm from, one of the commitments that they had that decommitted, I believe, about a week and a half ago, Terry. He's like 40 minutes from me, and when he committed to them, I was asking the same. I was saying the same thing. I'm like, that's not gonna stick. They're casting their net way out into the South, and then put it in perspective. You got a West Coast university recruiting a bunch of Southern kids to go play in the Midwest. It's that's today's college football, and it's weird. And the dynamic of what they were trying to do, is something that Pete Carroll did 15 years ago. He was able to come down the South and get a bunch of kids, but there's no proof of concept on the defensive side of the ball because a lot of the players are chasing from USC and they're hemorrhaging defensive players that they're trying to get from the South. And he has no proof of concept because we all know the last 2 seasons you watch USC on the defensive side of the ball, it just hasn't measured up.
And I want to can I interrupt you just to Pete Carroll, because I remember one of the guys he got. I remember he was at Bobby Bowden football camp. Pete was one of the first implementers of what we consider the spread system today. And he was willing to take guys that we didn't necessarily know how to use in the South because we had a formula. So, I can't think of his name. Is
it Rivers?
It's not Michael. It's not Williams.
Okay.
Was it Williams? The wide receiver.
Oh, yeah, Mike Williams out of Tampa.
Yeah, so he took Mike, and Mike, Florida State said Mike could either play safety, be a big box safety, or he would be a tight end.
Oh, okay.
That's what he was told at Florida State. Whereas Pete said, "Oh, you got dang right, we can make you a wide receiver. You'll be out here." And obviously, he dominated until he decided to try to follow Maurice Claret's lead and try to go, which I think he should have been able to, but Maurice Claret got him messed up. But again, that's where they were doing. Pete was doing things different. Like you can't. What are you going to sell Drake? What is Drake going to do? And I just don't see that.
Yeah.
The closer you get to the season and being competitive, there's a competitiveness, like a style of football that's played in the South, and just, to commit to playing that style. Like, it's almost like you're building a house of cards. Like maybe if everybody was stuck, they would have thought we can do this thing. But it's like once one goes, once Terry goes, the next one goes. And that's what I was starting to do in my mic cutoff, was running down the list. But just guys that have been on our board and just front of my conscience since the last year. You had Xander Miller, Kite, you mentioned Justice Terry. Now we've had Stubbs. Who's the other one?
Was it another defensive lineman, I believe, that committed to Georgia out of the state?
So that's like 6 guys that are just like big time. That's like the whole class, and you've lost them just bam, bam, bam. So to go after Arno, whatever, we'll see if it sticks. But the next guy,
real quick, George, my bad, I got to bounce, man. But appreciate y'all having me on, man. Had a good time.
Appreciate it,
Thank you for your time, for sure. And we'll let everybody know about James's backpack drive, and we'll get that link up there. I didn't realize he was gonna have to leave, so quick there, but James is the man. MFTK.com. You can go check out his what do you call it? A 501(c)(3) charity type organization that he does to help the kids and stuff. Right now, they're in the middle of their backpack drive. 4,000 backpacks he's trying to do. They distribute them between Atlanta, Jacksonville, and Tallahassee. There is no better cause out there. It's really awesome. Really, it is. So, and we appreciate him. Like I said, when he got on there, it's like, I want to hog all the questions. It's just, when you start talking football with folks, it's like, man, I want to ask you about that. That makes me think of this thing. It's like, so that's why I guess I'm sitting here with this podcast and always talking to my friends about football because it's so much fun. The next guy to talk about is Gregory Zay Thomas. It's like I've got a pit in my stomach just because I feel like more than anybody else in the board, I've been just like really flaunting my gums and been confident in talking about this guy. Like he's just a commit. Like that's what it is. He's a commit. So how are y'all feeling? You think he's the next commit that we land?
Yeah, my confidence level actually went, I believe, before we got some. Hold on, I'm trying to think. When we did the breakdown, I think I had it at an 8, and I'm taking it to a 10 now. I'm highly confident that we get him. I'm going 10 out of 10 on my confidence level for Zay. It's just too many things pointing. It's too many things pointing to the Noles.
You love to hear it. Encyclopedia comes with a $10 super chat. We appreciate you, bro. Bring back the 2013 logo. Oh shit, I love it. Ben's got it on deck. He's got it in the beer huggy. Here's what I would do it for you. I would say bring it back for like retro games or stuff like that.
No, I love
was upset when it happened. But as the years have passed, you really see, especially as somebody that has to do graphic design now, like you really see how it works.
Yeah.
So they really did a damn good job looking back on it. The only like gripe that I still think is kind of relevant is maybe you could have made him a little bit older, but whatever. It's about when he was in college age, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
I don't know, like with the new logo, and I'm really not. I mean, I'm gonna get killed for this, by maybe some of the woke crowd. I'm not for sure, but it looks like bacon is on his face in the new logo, and I can't unsee it because someone pointed it out to me one time, and now I have this platter someone gave me, like that is nothing but the face, and it's a chip and dip, platter. Because everything that I get for Christmas or my birthday and my family is Florida State stuff. So I have chips and dips, I have cups, I have pitchers, I have, tin cans that I'll never use. You know what I mean? This type of stuff. But someone pointed out to me one time that said it looks like it's bacon, and I've never unseen it. Not one time. And it makes me hungry, and I don't like it.
Well, I'm going to try not to get stuck in that now that you've told me about that.
Yeah, just don't think about it. Sorry about that.
But that is funny. I'm glad to hear that your confidence is shot through the roof to kind of match where I was. So now maybe I can pop back up there to 100%. Not that I heard anything different. It's just one of those things, like, it just seems too good to be true. I saw this question in the comments, and it's something that I had been hinting towards, all because of one off tweet that Byron Lewis made. Byron Lewis, whenever it was last week, when Greg Zay Thomas put out his tweet saying, okay, here's my final two. It's Clemson and Florida State. I'm deciding June 30th, which is this Sunday. Byron Lewis said, pull the trigger, man. If you do it, I do it. And, if anybody doesn't know, Byron Lewis, I don't know if he doesn't have an offer at all, but he's definitely not entertaining them, not talking to Clemson whatsoever. So he had to have been talking about Florida State. The question in the chat was, does Byron Lewis commit if, in fact, Greg Zay Thomas commits on Sunday? Here's what I say. I'm as confident Byron Lewis is in this class as anybody. Will he commit that night? I tend to think maybe he won't steal his thunder. Maybe it's the very next day, if anything. And I'll turn it to y'all, at least to y'all for the next.
Well, what I was going to say is the point you just made about Byron Lewis, but I'm more confident in Byron Lewis than I am about Zay Thomas. So if that is the case, then I'm now even more confident in Zay Thomas. So that is what I would say about that. Yes, I am pretty confident about Byron Lewis is what I would say.
Yeah, for me, with Lewis, I'll keep my confidence level at around a 5-6 range right now. I just look at it as the recruitment is still, you got to keep recruiting. And he's one of them that he's being pursued by the team down south. So you know how that's going to work and those pressures playing down there. I'm confident that we're in the recruitment. I'm confident that we can get a commitment. I just will keep it more neutral as far as the end game and how we're gonna have to. I believe he's one of those
taking the end game. I agree. But taking the end game, like, do you think he commits to anybody? Like coming up Sunday or Monday?
No.
You think he takes?
I think he takes it. I think he takes his recruitment a little longer. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Got you. Very, very interesting, because it's like I'm in between thinking like more like you, but then putting how much onus do I put on the tweet? Was he saying if you'll do it right now, then I will?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
So we will see. We'll see. I'm definitely more confident than you, but I'm not that confident that'll necessarily be Sunday. If anything, it would be the next Monday. Is kind of what I would think. But going on to the next one, William McMillian says, I pray we get Zadris Rainey Sales commitment. So that's definitely one we could talk about. Obviously, we have Ethan Pritchard at linebacker. We're not going to take a ton of them, but 2, maybe 3. Gavin Nix is another linebacker they've been after. They got him on campus recently. He's one of those guys in like that Jared Smith, DJ Pickett category where they all kind of have another favorite, but Florida State will probably, recruit him on down to the end. But I think, everything tells me, everything I've heard, you read the boards and the confidence of the people from each school you trust. Seems like Nix is a Miami kid. So I think that really helps out with Rainey Sale. It depends on kind of how much oomph they're wanting to put there. I don't know if there's a third linebacker that maybe they like better, if they're looking to maybe get some out of the portal. But I like our chances of Rainey Sale. I just don't have a strong opinion. I'd put it like maybe at better than 50%.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Yeah, go. I'll go ahead. I'm right there with you, George. 50%, and the biggest reason is why it's the distance. You have his home state of Washington. You have UCLA, who's gonna heat up, soon in that area, especially with what's going on with USC. UCLA can take advantage of the whole West Coast outside of Oregon. And I just think that's the biggest issue. If it wasn't for the distance, I would give it a higher percentage of about 70% that we get him. I'm not saying we don't have a chance, but it's just that distance is such a big factor.
It's tough. Like if you're gonna make the distance shit work, everything has to go right. With USC, like I said, they really needed to get like a crazy group that could come in there and change the culture. What helps Florida State in this scenario is they've shown on the field to be a dominant defense. They're going to do it again this year. So it's like, yeah, you have a chance to get a Rainey Sale because he knows if he's leaving the house, he's going to get a chance to be a part of a special defense for sure. But go ahead. I just had to spit that out.
Oh, no. I would say with him, I would put it at 25%, but I'm not in the UCLA basket for that. I think it's Oregon or who else is he talking about? Because UCLA is broke. Yeah, Washington. I would go with Washington for this guy. I think it's going to be Washington for him. UCLA is so broke. They're in the red. Their coach is kind of he's never coached before. I mean, this is a mess over there. UCLA is a huge mess. I think the Big Ten is probably rethinking that ad, if you ask me. You know what I mean? So I just think. I think it's Washington for him or Oregon, and I think Florida State runs a third. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But yeah, I think it's distance.
They won't finish third. They'll either get him or you know what I mean? Like if they're third, they just won't pursue him type thing.
Well,
but
they're pursuing him now.
Definitely see them dropping out possibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's what I would say. I'm not. I don't know. I think that distance is hard. It's really hard to get, especially like linebackers. I mean, quarterbacks are a whole different story. That is a whole different story. They go to camps all over the country all the time. Distance isn't that big for a quarterback, right? I mean, they'll go work at different schools. They'll go work with different coaches. The defensive side, I mean, we saw it with Jaden Woodby. I mean, it doesn't usually work all that well. I don't know why, but it usually just doesn't. I can't.
Distance is the issue for Jen. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. The long, long ways. James says, remember he decommitted from Washington, but I believe it's between FSU and Washington. So yeah, kind of pretty everybody much agrees. It's going to be down to
Washington on that one, but I could be wrong. And Washington's new coach, Jed Fish. I mean, no offense, he's kind of a geek.
Yeah. Definitely tough for them to lose their national champion game head coach that quick and have to go with Gedfish. It's pretty tough. But the chat is asking about Tavian Wallace, and they brought up something else I want to talk about in a minute. Tavian Wallace will be committing July 2nd. So that is going to be, I don't want to lie about the day. I don't know if we have 31 days this month or not, but it'll be sometime next week. That likely could be the one after Zay Thomas, but we don't know. Lewis could commit. Somebody else could pop up like a Wiley or a Wynn or Charles did here that we weren't necessarily expecting on this particular date. Was
that expected? I meant to ask because I've been busy all day. I didn't even know if it was expected. Did we know that?
Which player?
Charles. Did we know he was committing?
No, that's what I was saying. It's pretty cool that we got, these three unexpected guys and Wiley, Charles, and Wynn, because we didn't have a date. We didn't have a set thing.
Oh, okay. That's right. Okay.
It's like we're ahead of schedule. Like it's so cool. We told you guys, look out for these dates, and it's fun to keep track of. And it's not just us. It's like any onside, Chris James, these things. Whether they knew one specific or any or not, like these things, they catch up and surprise you. And sometimes it's good shit. Sometimes it's bad stuff. Like we knew Arno was Wednesday. So that was what our eggs in our basket. We're going to get a commit in these next couple of days. It's Arno. Well, never mind. Instead, we get whatever win on Tuesday. And then on Friday, it works out perfectly for the show again. We get our guy, Myron Charles. But anyways, on to Tavian Wallace. He's July 2nd, like I was saying there. I haven't heard anything different. I think he's a Nole. We can talk about whether he goes the distance and things like that, but as far as July 2nd, I believe the hay is in the barn, and it's just going to be a big pickup. I think the bigger question is, will we grab another guy in between there, like I said? But Tavian Wallace, he's borderline 5-star, just an absolute beast in this class for a deep class. Like I'm telling you right now, the number 40 player in this class, would have been top 20 in 22, top 30 maybe last year. Like this is a deep ass class, and I think Wallace is a beast. He'd be the best linebacker that Florida State has brought in a long, long time.
Long time.
I want to see Randy Shannon get his hands on that man.
Yeah. Where I look at it, there was some comparisons that was mentioned on Twitter with him, a bigger Deloach, a lot bigger player, but similar in his ability to strike and move and cover. I heard some things about him also scrubbing his IG from everything other than FSU and his visits and stuff like that in film. So I'm high. I got this as a 9 out of 10. I just think the relationships that he has with Randy and also Ernie, and then also Ernie being able to be on field now and coach, actually put his, be able to get in there with Randy and work. I think this is a guy that really changes, one of those bell cows of the class other than Trammell. I mean, this is huge. I think his commitment, getting his commitment will probably open the doors for some commitments that we ain't even thinking about right now, or some targets that we kind of looking on the outside. I think he's one of those kind of guys that really he can shift the room and shift the class.
Facts. Game changer. William McMillian comes in with a $3 super chat. So ready to beat Miami again. I totally agree. And I believe Chris is expecting him to definitely commit, I guess, for sure. So we'd love to see it, man. We'd love to see it. I missed the chat and the timing of things. So I'm not sure exactly what that was alluding to, but we love Chris and we love
I think it was about when I asked about Myron Charles. I think because were we expecting it? And I was not I wasn't listening last night, guys. I apologize. I've had some family stuff, so I missed it. But so I didn't know.
Well, he is.
Yeah, it was about Myron. Yeah,
he is a Nole right now. Myron was one that was so locked in, like. Every time you sure, Chris? You sure Deshawn? Everybody I talk to, you sure? Yeah, he's a Nole. He's a Nole. Well, and then some people put some crystal balls out. James, Chris last night on the show, letting everybody know that it's coming. So I was just happy to see it hit. It's like, I don't know, almost like a beat dog or something. Like shit happens so many times, and you just the playoff snub and the no call. It's like you're always waiting for the house of cards to fall. But this run right here is a lot of fun, and to have both of those guys, we talked about it at the time. We predicted that 2 out of 3. I think we all felt pretty solid between Wynn, Charles, and Wiggins. You would get 2 out of the 3. But James came on here a little while ago, predicted Wiggins on whenever that was last Tuesday. Florida State's been working on him a lot of time. We'll see if maybe getting the first 2 affects getting the third, but real good chance of sweeping. With 3 of the best defensive linemen in the country, which is really a beautiful thing.
I'll comment on Sporadic's his chat or his chat up there that he posted. You posted up there. Yeah, I just looked at it again and I forgot that name that you mentioned, Chris. So when you watching, my bad, because you did let me know something and I forgot that third name. That third name is the guy we just was talking about before Wallace, the linebacker out of Washington.
Really?
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Well,
let's be a little bit higher than.
All we need on that is the date, Chris. So you just let us know when the date is. We're in agreement on that. Baby.
I forgot all about that. I saw the 2 names and forgot the third, and then he threw a fourth that we weren't gonna. That was going elsewhere, which we already discussed. But my apologies because I forgot about being mentioned to me.
You don't have to apologize because I missed the whole. I have no idea what's fucking going on. I'm no good at looking at that.
I could absolutely be wrong about that kid and saying it's Washington because I think I have Jaden Woodby vibes, and with that commitment that I sat there for an hour and a half to watch, in case anybody else doesn't remember that night? How long was that commitment ceremony? Was it 2 hours or was it like an hour and a half?
It was epic.
And then for him to turn out, I mean, good kid, great. And then he goes to Boston College. Look, I can't. I sat there for 2 hours for your commitment, for you to transfer to Boston College. Like, okay.
Saved himself.
I can't get those 2 hours back. I can't.
Saved himself the kind of, sitting on the bench and looking on, so it is what it is. He's a nice young man. He's my Facebook.
Of course he is.
Friend, but,
look, I'm not talking bad about him. I'm saying I can't get those 2 hours back of that commitment ceremony. That's all I'm saying. And I might have PTSD from it.
I get it. I got to say something to transition to the next conversation. I'm not.
Go for it.
Like, you're fine. But yeah, moving on from Jaden Woodby, I've done forgot what I was going to say there. Who's your next guy on your mind there? Oh, that's what I was going to say. So Chris says that he will know the date tomorrow morning. Okay. So tomorrow morning, guys, you just, as soon as we find out, if you're not already subscribed over there at Spear Addicts and a member and all that good stuff, make sure, because maybe we'll know something on that name. We won't say it, just we'll play the kind of hinting game that way. We're doing things the way we do. We don't come out here and blow shit and give up secrets and try to blow guys kind of commitments and stuff like that. But you can pick up on some shit. You can pick up on some tea leaves if you pay attention.
Yeah.
And read between the lines. That's for damn sure. Christian Moore. Who is this fucking guy? I've seen you in here. If you're the real Christian Moore, let me just tell you, hats off to you because you're a damn good ball player. But if not, for you to be in here and just acting like a regular person, talking fun, but you got Christian. I don't want to look at that guy's face. Like, what the heck, dude? But yeah, Boston College is crazy. Like, to go from everything and the hype, but I think his injury, his knee injury really kind of put a fork in that, But anyways, moving on. We'll never get that time back, but that was just, he'd like to forget his whole time here. And really just that era of Florida State.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do that. Let's just get rid of the Willie Taggart years. Let's do it. We need that one from Men in Black,
make us forget. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what we need from that era because it was so bad. It was so ridiculous. It was so awful. And honestly, I got to say, after the Miami game with Willie, when he got fired, I was like, oh, I don't like this look until I found out what was going on behind the scenes. And then I was like, how did y'all not fire him last year? Like after game 2 or after I forgot to set up a walkthrough on the Notre Dame game. Nice.
I would add that there was, you had some things that went on with the end of the Boughton's run with Jeff and, before Jimbo came in. I would liken that to the same situation. You got to give those players from that era the benefit of the doubt, because there's a lot of circumstances in which they were kind of handicapped, That's just that's my opinion.
Facts around the board. I tried to ask because somebody brought up the Feinbaum quote. I was going to see if you could pull that up maybe on Twitter so we could look at it and talk about it.
I haven't.
Addicts adds on to the conversation about Woodby. He says, bro, that's the truth, Jen. It was definitely made up for with Lester's ceremony. So we definitely curved that era. And we got some people that are all business that are way better for our sensibilities there. Not going to waste 13 hours.
Yeah.
Lester's ceremony was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Feinbaum quote, I have it.
Okay.
It is Florida State is not wanted by the Big Ten because of academics. They are not an AAU member. Apparently, he doesn't know the rules. He also said that Florida State thinks they're way more valued than they actually are. That is his quote.
Oh, we could. I meant pull it up, like so we could show but no, yeah, we could definitely.
No. I'm sorry, I read it. Yeah, I don't know how to do that technology stuff. That's on you.
Right, that's Deshawn's repertoire there. I can't even do that, but no, it's not something. Is that no? I'm sorry. I'm trying not to like do the production thing, but yay or nay on that, Deshawn.
I'm working on it now.
Okay, so he is going to pull that up for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just want people to see it. Like it's the same shit over and over again, just like Jim was saying. But
I
it's
need
just
Fine Mom to show me on the doll where the FSU co-ed told you no. You know what I mean? Because this man is so angry. I will never forget. 2013, he starts the year off. Jameis Winston is not winning the Heisman after the Clemson game. Anybody else remember it? I remember it. Florida State will lose again. They won't beat Florida. They won't do this. They won't do that. They won't beat Auburn. He said Auburn was going to clobber Florida State. By the way, his Twitter went silent, and then he didn't even go on his show after Auburn lost to Florida State. He had a guest host on.
that was a running thing. I seen you say something to somebody on Twitter about this the other day. It was a running thing the entire time Jimbo Fisher was here. It was like once a year he went at the same time and he made up an excuse. Oh, well, that weekend I just have it scheduled that I'm out of town. But then Jimbo showed up a couple times in between every time because he was on his fucking propaganda mission that the ACC sucks and Florida State can't do this in those days. And it was Bama, 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 Florida, 7 championships in a row, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally would run away. He would not talk to anybody from Florida State. And he put the shittiest, he wouldn't get a good anchor to replace him like they would normally do. He'd get some freaking errand boy, some freaking, gopher person, and that's who he'd put, like, not to hate on the host that did it, but yeah, that shit was hilarious.
I mean, if y'all are, he came to, what game was it? He came to Florida State in 2013.
I'll send it to you, buddy. Hold on, my bad. I didn't realize. Give me a second.
Yeah, I have the quote, but I don't have the actual the
I'll
edit that they did with what he said with the quote, but I do have the actual quote.
What game was it that was a game day at Florida State in 2013? I'm sorry, my mind's gone.
What's that?
Because Paul Feinbaum was there in 2013, and he looked like he was about to be a big gust of wind would take him off of the balcony at Florida at Doak. What game was that? Does anybody remember? That man is like 5'2" and weighs maybe 90 pounds. Does anybody not know this? He's from Memphis, Paul Feinbaum. But he then moved to Knoxville. He went to Tennessee. So obviously, he's a very weak individual. He couldn't handle it in M-Town. You know what I mean? Too small.
Okay. There you go. You can bring it up now.
The dude literally a heavy gust of wind could blow him away. So maybe it's not me. I'm just like catching up on some of the chat and like going back and forth. And Chris said, "Everyone forgive me, I'm a little out of it. I guess he's a couple beers. Maybe it's not me. Maybe I just need to get me a little buzz so I can be on the inside of the joke or not try to produce it or anything." But we're up to 280 live in the chat. In case you didn't know, this is my beautiful co-host underneath me. Right? Well, she's not underneath me. That sounds weird. She's on the bottom square of the podcast. You can find her on at Jen Santee 1890. You can watch her podcast that she hosts with her friend Tiny Hat CEO every Monday, 9:15 Eastern, right here on the Renegade Report. And as we have our quote up here now, this is what I was talking about as far as the exact quote. So you can just see how pompous it is, and I can do my little rant. We've got a little insight from my other two amazing co-hosts. I know Florida State thinks they're heavily in demand. But there are some questions about what exactly they bring to the Big Ten. It's just the most pompous and ridiculous shit. And that's like just one part of the quotes, but that was the specific one I had in my mind. He said a few other things, pretty much tearing down the academics. Apparently, he doesn't know where Florida State is in the academics, and it thinks it would be at the bottom of any of these other conferences and things. But if you watch this show, we've had experts from all over the place. We showed all the charts. Florida State would automatically be number 1 in the Big 12 tomorrow in academics. They'd be towards the top of the SEC. They're already in the top quadrant of the ACC. They've made giant strides and are continuing to grow. They've already sold the bonds. They're getting ready to break the ground. They've got everything done on it for a medical research facility that they're going to build on site, whatever 8-10 stories it's going to be. Who knows what's going to be in there? They've got plans to be in the AAU, which they don't even have to be to get into the Big Ten. But it's pure and total propaganda. He knows because he has the contacts to reach out to. The Big Ten already has a statement out there saying that it's not a necessity, all these things. But it's just, when you hear people talk about SEC and ESPN and things like that, it's like when you have somebody like this that constantly does that, it's just, he's always saying some shit like this. And it's always on a random slow news day that he's like, Florida State this, and he likes to just call people second tier programs and things like that. And it's just the stupidest shit. He's like pro wrestling for SEC people. He's like the person that has programmed all these fucking SEC. I'm Vanderbilt, but SEC. I'm Florida. I'm technically last place in recruiting, but let me point out our blue chip ratio, bro. We only signed 13 recruits, but look at that. It's always something with these guys.
Well, I mean, one, he's Gargamel. He is Gargamel from the Smurfs, and I don't know why anybody takes this fool seriously. He is literally 4'9". He weighs about maybe 75 pounds. This guy is such a joke. And look, he does a good job with what he does. He is a troll, but he has absolutely no information, no sources. Nobody talks to him because his mouth is too big. He's the definition of what would you call it? SDE and Napoleon syndrome. That's what you would call it. You know what I mean? This is him. He's a loser. I can't really elaborate anymore on this. This man was born in Memphis. Yeah, he's born in Memphis, went to Knoxville, hates the University of Tennessee, by the way. He talks bad about them and sits there and humps everything Alabama or Auburn does. I've never seen anything like it. It's just like, he's a joke. And by the way, he says this because ESPN told him to. That's the bottom line. That's it. That is why he said it. Because all his redneck followers who listen to Paul all day, I mean, I can't find a worse fan base than the Feinbaum Show fan base. By the way, it's entertaining. It is funny. I do love Messi. I love Messi. I watch reality TV. I love mess. I will listen to Feinbaum every once in a while. After Florida State beat Auburn, after Feinbaum says, oh, they won't win, they're going to get clobbered, he wouldn't even come on his own show the next day. I was so ready for that podcast the next day, just waiting on it. I couldn't wait. He didn't even show up. He had a guest host, do it. He's a fool. He can't take anything. If you fight back to him, he gets mad. It's just, he's a douche. That's it. That's all you can say.
I just leave it short words. He's a puppet. You've already touched on it, Jen. He basically, he's not stupid. He's doing what he's saying. Those comments that he made is what he was pretty much instructed to say. Anybody that can quickly just do research knows that FSU is a top 20 public school. We meet all these different criteria and credentials, and we're headed in the direction to go into that conference. So it doesn't really matter what he says. I mean, he does it for engagement. It's all it is. It's for engagement, drive it up. He's part of a propaganda machine that was built in the early 2000s with all of the stuff that we're dealing with now, the legalities with Raycom, and once the SEC, who was once under Raycom, also split, and we split, and everybody signed these different deals, which, hey, I can't be upset about it. They went where the ACC's administration didn't go. They used ESPN, created a propaganda machine, and built it up to what it is today. And he's just a talking head, a figurehead for that. He's just another puppet.
Ranting up and raving up the crazies out there. And, that's where you get the guy that poisoned the tumors, trees, and countless crazy things.
Exactly.
Truly amazing, by the way. Truly amazing.
Chasing people with guns over football games and shit.
Yes.
So, that's 100%. The chat was asking about Malik Clark. This is somebody that we haven't talked a ton about. It's like a North Carolina, NC State, Florida State, South Carolina, Auburn is what I'm looking here. The top guys. Apparently, Chris had a little line on it. So again, if you're not part of Spear Addicts, he's one of the best out there at that stuff. But he is a top wide receiver and would be a big pickup in a class where, you know, not a ton of wide receivers at Florida State's going to pick up this year. But I would love to see it. And I love the Simpsons comparison. So yeah, I definitely think Mr. Burns, like he's definitely
it's
Mr.
Gargamel. He's
So
Gargamel.
we can have plenty of them. So she says Gargamel. We've got Mr. Burns, and there's also, hope I don't steal it from you, the South Park pervert.
Mr. Garrison. That's what I was getting ready to call him. Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Garrison, he doesn't even wear glasses.
Mr. Garrison. That's what I was getting ready to say.
His ears are so big, and then he has these claws. He is Gargamel. It's not even close. Like Feinbaum's hands, he looks like Interview with the Vampire. If you've ever, no, wait, not Interview with the Vampire. What is that movie? No, I know. No, I had a new one. What is that movie? It's like, God, it's a vampire movie, and it's this vampire that like it's not Interview with the Vampire. I had it totally wrong. I'll have to think about this. And let me show you the picture, and then you guys will freak out because I just thought about it.
We can have fun with this. All the fans, you know all of our Twitter ats. You can show us get your funniest Paul Feinbaum comparison, and maybe we'll show it on the roast or something. But yeah, all great comparisons for sure.
If anybody can think of that vampire movie, I can't remember who was in it. I want to say, was it? I don't know. Anyway,
well, you haven't told us anything about the movie, so we're not going to think about it. You have to give us something.
Well, it's like a guy goes to interview like a vampire in a cave. And it's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Dracula Untold.
No, not Dracula. It's not a Dracula name. It's like a
the funny one with Johnny Depp, the new one, or he's like dead for 300 years. Okay, we're gonna have to table this. We'll get back to it.
I got it. I'll look it up. Sorry, guys. I'll look it up.
It's fun stuff. We've been going, holy shit, we've been going for an hour and 22 already.
Yes.
I did not realize we've been going that long. I guess because Jen came on late.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine. That's great. It's been a good show. I'm looking at the numbers. They're still going up. We're over 100 something on YouTube, 300 total if you count Twitter. So let me put the number up here. I'll throw the number up here in case there's any recruits that we haven't got to between the chat and just that we've talked about, which I know we haven't. There's a dozen we haven't got to, but there's just so much going on, and we've talked really about the ones we're expecting here soon. So yeah, if you have any questions, now would be the time. Yeah, pretty much. That's what it is. Is there anything on y'all's mind before we get out of here?
No. I sent you a message for a pic that you can bring up to the stage
for
our viewers to see.
Oh shit. Is that the guy Jen's talking about?
No, that's Lord of the Rings.
That's Gollum.
That's Gollum.
Okay.
That's
Gollum.
Smeagol. Yeah.
I can see that. I do see that. I'm telling you though, if I could show you this one picture, y'all would just freak out. And I cannot remember the name of this movie. Okay, is it John Malkovich? Is that the name of it? Is that the name of the vampire in the movie? I think it might be John Malkovich. Let me look it up.
I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
Definitely, when you let us figure it out, we'll pull it up and laugh at it. That's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I guess if you don't have anything specific on guys, let me just go through. I will run through my list here if there's nothing y'all have, and we will call it a day. Again, if you have any questions, it doesn't have to be about recruiting. It could be about anything. Now is the time. We saw some news that the ACC appealed the ACC was trying to get the case in Florida stopped. They were trying to get it dismissed or stayed or whatever the case may be. The judge granted it, so they took it to appeals and it got denied. So the case in Florida is going forward, so that is good news. It's nothing huge. But Doug Rohan did go on Garnet and Old yesterday. So if you want to learn the very latest on that kind of stuff, you can go over there and look at that. Again, that June 30th date that Florida State had to leave, or the conference would have to pretty much dissolve. That's the only way you could dissolve the grant of rights. Was if 8 teams left by June 30th. That's in a couple days. So
Mm-hmm.
nothing happens if the thing don't collapse here in the next 2 days. You can look forward to July 19th, I believe maybe is the next court date or next major date to look forward coming up and that. But as far as recruiting goes here, let me see if there's any names that I have not mentioned here that are kind of important. We
Hang on,
talked.
I got it. Do not get off yet. I got it.
That's all right. Just let us know when you get the
I
name.
gotcha. I got the name. I've already found it. I'm just sending it to you guys so you can experience it.
So she's sending it to you in the chat so you can pull it up.
Yes.
I got
But
you.
talking back to recruiting, as far as guys we have not named, we mentioned Shamar Arno committed to USC Wednesday. Booby is one we haven't talked on this show. Jabari Antone, he's the guy that decommitted from LSU. It's kind of LSU FSU race. Don't have a date there, but that is somebody that my guy Deshawn is high on. I would really like to get him. Don't have a big, opinion there. We'll have to see. Ladarion Clarity is another one of these guys due to FSU small class. He's a little shorter than normal, but he's a safety. Now that we've missed out on Arno, maybe Clarity, maybe they do push and get him. I think if Florida State pushes, he's one of these guys that they can definitely get. Somebody that grew up in the Panhandle, really looks up to Florida State and what they do. Tavion Wallace, obviously, Charles Wiggins, Joseph, Peyton Joseph. We mentioned a little bit. Deshawn mentioned in a little bit, but don't forget Peyton Joseph choosing between Memphis and Florida State, and that's going to be on July 4th. So look forward to Peyton Joseph. I think he's a Nole. I think everybody's in agreement. I think on that one, you can't get beat by Memphis, but we'll see what happens there. Byron Lewis is tied to Zay Thomas. Deshawn thinks it might go all the way, so we'll see if he does pop when Zay pops. Josh Petty is a guy. He's August 12th. We haven't talked about him, but he's another one of those offensive tackles that really looks good. Dylan McCutcheon, a guy who we don't have a date on, but we like. Usman Chroma, another one of those guys we don't have a date on, but we really like. Max Buchanan just committed to Clemson. I think you just hit on too many guys to really go all in on Buchanan. Buchanan is the issue there. I think he's just being valued more by Clemson. Clemson's no sweat. They really sell him on a vision. I think a similar vision as far as how they're going to treat you when you come to Florida State and being, about God and things like that. So we'll see. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination, but Buchanan there. We'll see if we land some of these other guys. I mentioned DJ Pickett and Jared Smith earlier. Lamont Rogers is the name that I was actually looking for that I didn't want to miss talking about before we close the show. More and more people are jumping board on my Lamont Rogers to Florida State train. I don't have a ton of inside information, but I just know that he had a good time on his springtime visit. I know of all that giant group of kids and how huge that weekend was. I know who Alex Atkins was hanging out with that next morning. So I just really like him. We'll see what happens with Lamont Rogers, but he's a big-time 4-star offensive tackle that you would love to get. Another one is Ty Haywood, the kid out of Texas. If you can just get one of those two, it would be amazing. If you get both, holy shit. Tariq Lockett, the 5-star wide receiver, we didn't mention him. There's no date for him. Obviously would love to get him. If you can get him, holy shit, that would be huge. Huge. I just feel like this is definitely one of those that goes the distance. We'll see what happens. Maybe he surprises everybody and commits in the next couple of weeks, but a lot of work to do there still with Lockett, I think. Vernell Brown, we'll see what happens. He's a Gator. Gavin Nix, a Cane. More committed to the Gators. Not convinced more goes the whole distance with the Gators. I think more, if you really decided you want him, you could probably get him back in the fold. But that's everybody off the top of my head. I hope we satisfied everybody with that. And again, if you have anything else, I will pull up the vampire that is apparently Paul Feinbaum here.
It's good, isn't it?
Yes, that's William Dafoe.
Oh,
and
yeah,
William Dafoe.
Yeah,
and Shadow of the Vampire.
A vampire. Yeah. Based off Nosferatu, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
He's a good actor too. I might have to go watch that one.
Look, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
So what's it called? Interview with the Vampire. Say it again.
Shadow of the Vampire.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Vampire. So there you go.
Yes.
Willem Dafoe. Y'all have a movie to go watch and give you some nightmares. But oh man, I'm good. I got all my stuff out. What do you got? You got anything, Deshawn? If not, go ahead and plug your YouTube channel and we'll get out of here.
I have nothing other than to once again, our viewers, please subscribe to our channel. It's Double D's Let's Talk Ball. It's Double D's Let's Talk Ball. We touch on all things pro, NFL. We also going to work on a college channel another splinter of that, and also D's Corner. That's DSCORNER. D's Corner. All your NFL information. Thank y'all.
Beautiful. Jen, of course, Jen Santy, 1890. Anything else you got to share with the people before we get out of here?
No. Have you discussed your puppies yet or no?
No, I don't think I have talked about the puppies. Yeah, I got some puppies. I think if you've been around here long enough, you've seen maybe Lucy once or twice. She's made an appearance on the show. My little American bulldog. She has crazy, amazing, beautiful puppies. She had 7. Only 6 made it. But yeah, if I seem a little tired, I know I didn't do the best job hosting. I was a little discombobulated here and there. But yeah, for the past 36 hours, I've been like nonstop trying to make sure these puppies are all right. I'm paranoid. It's my first time dealing with this. But we'll get some pictures. Maybe next time I'll have some pictures sent over to the chat, and Deshawn can share them for you guys and see some of these pretty babies. They're going quick, so that's for sure.
Awesome.
Well, all righty. We will see you guys next time. It's all about the Noles, and we'll leave you with a little bit of some what's the word here I'm looking for? Trub Life, the real Trub Life. Y'all go check him out. He's got some amazing stuff, and he's got this song called FSU versus Everyone that we're going to play, and it actually happens to have a thumbnail of the Renegade roast. To give you an idea, make sure you guys go check that out as well with Jen and our guy Tiny Hat CEO. We're out.
Hey man, FSU versus everybody. Let's go.
First off, fuck Bama in the roll tide. Fuck Tuscaloosa in every city that's close by. Bitch ass hillbilly redneck fans. Auburn almost caught y'all slacking like dress pants. Michigan trash, they ain't got a damn chance. Only Wolverine I respect is X-Man. Keen ass coach got exposed, still in plays. Damn right I'm